we are going to do a bit of idea, basic idea, development of basic idea of half-life. So if we talk about half-life, we know that radioactive isotopes usually decay exponentially. So what do I mean by exponential decay, or what is the significance of exponential decay? Exponential decay is not something which remains constant, right? It's like there is a slope which changes. There is a change of slope. We will see that in the later figure. And this change of slope actually hampers the result. Okay, it's like initially if the decay is fast, later on the decay will become slower and slower. Okay, so it will approach zero. That means all the radioactive nuclei will decay after a very, very long period of time, but the time that it takes for half of it to decay is not that long. Okay, that is the beauty of having an exponential equation. Okay, you have to understand it, how exactly it does it work. It's not linear. The straightforward idea is that. So their rate of decay is actually determined by the understanding of a half-life. So we already know about half-life. Half-life means the time that it actually takes for half of that radioactive nuclei or radioactive isotope to decay. So if you have got 10 grams, and by the time it becomes 5 gram, how much time does it take? That is half-life. The idea is very simple. And if you, usually when we derive the relation, we say that n naught is the amount present in time t is equal to 0, then it will actually decay to n. Okay, and then we will use some values, and then we will derive the result. We will do it in the next class. Today we are just going to do a theoretical explanation. So it basically happens for unstable isotope. I think this is very simple and very clear to all of us, because if it is unstable, then only it is going to radiate alpha, beta, or gamma rays. And when it radiates alpha, beta, and gamma rays, basically give you the mass of the original isotope will start reducing, right? Because beta and alpha both has got some mass. Okay, alpha rays and beta rays. Alpha has got more mass, but the thing is, it's not a simple process. It's not that one alpha particle will come and then it will wait and then another will come. Everything is happening simultaneously. It depends on how unstable it is. If it is more unstable, more radiations will come out. If it is less unstable, less radiation will come out. And depending on that, we can actually estimate what is the decay constant, and then what will be the half life, what will be the mean life, and so on. So this is a very common topic which you have even in your undergraduation, but even in post graduation for net gate exam also, these questions do come. Okay, if you're lucky enough, you might get these simple questions. Okay, so atoms with short half lives are more unstable than those with long half lives. So imagine this. What does this statement exactly mean? So short half-life means it's going to emit, or it's going to its mass is going to get lesser and lesser with time, very fast, right? Because it has got short half-life. So that means if let's say an atom of 10 gram goes to 5 gram in, let's say, 20 minutes, okay, and then we have got another atom which 10 gram goes to 5 gram in 50 minutes. That means the first atom is losing more mass at a faster rate. Why does this happen? Because this is more unstable. There are more alpha, beta, and gamma rays which can actually come out of the system, okay, because of its instability, compared to have someone having a longer half-life. So an atom having a longer half-life will of course emit alpha, beta, gamma rays, but it will take longer and longer period. So that is the basic difference. Okay, so this might be an objective question. Okay, unstable atoms has got longer half-life, shorter half-life, both, maybe both, none of the above. Okay, so it will always have a short half-life. A very simple idea here. So this I have not written it as a question. Okay, I have just written it as an assignment. So the question is this. Okay, just try to do it now only. Okay, it's a practice question. It says that radon 222 decays. So radon is basically nothing but radioactive element. Okay, and it has got a half-life of 3.82 days. So if you have radon and if you are keeping it under lab condition, and if you are keeping it secured within 3.82 days, okay, if you can convert it into hour, it's fine. Within that much hour, you will see that this radon has reduced to half the original amount. So if the original amount was 10 gram, it will become 5 gram within 3.82 days. So that is how fast its half-life, how small its half-life is, right? So that means this is more or less unstable in nature. Okay, compared to anything which is radioactive, let's say carbon-14 dating and all. This has got a very, very long half-life. It remains in any element for a longer period of time, okay, any object or any substance. So if an initial sample of the element contains 1000 atoms, so we are just considering the atoms here, number of atoms, okay, we are not considering in mass. So they say that there are 1000 atoms, and then you can of course use the Avogadro's number and find out the mass and everything else, okay. But then right now I'm just saying that there are 1000 atoms. The question is, how long will it take for the sample to decay down to 125 atoms? And before I proceed with the understanding of this, can ask at least one of you to tell me what is the answer. Okay, I will just go to the next question. And the next question says that, see, it's practice, okay, it's like something which you have done before. An initial sample of zinc 61 contains 215 grams, okay. So what happens is, after 976 days, the sample size has reduced to 13.4375 grams. What is the half-life of zinc 61 atom? So this is the next question, almost in similar lines, but here you have to find out the half-life. Okay, here you have to find out the half-life. There it was like in if the initial sample contains this, how much time will it take for the sample to decay to 125 atoms? So this was time, this was half-life of zinc. Okay, so you can try this also, and then we will go back to the previous question and solve it. 3.82 days में half life होता है, that means it reduces to half, so 1000 will become 500. So 250 is half of 500, right? So that means this T here, or let's write down this is T1, this is T2. 3.82 days already passed. I need another 3.82, so this will be 3.82 into 2. So कितना होगा? 336 3.57 7.64, right? And then we have got T3, and T3 is 7.64, तो pass हो चुका है already, and it will need another 3.82 days. Correct, right? So it will be, so whatever Ankita has said is correct. So it is something like 11.46. Jo bhi, I did not do the calculation, just saying I'm writing it down. So see, this doesn't need a formula. Of course, we have the formula of half-life and we can actually put it there and find it out. But the thing is, I don't want you to understand it from a formula point of view. Formula to kya hai? Baithayenge mil jayega answer. The important point is to understand this. Okay, that is very important. Okay, let's go to the next problem. Okay, let's try the next problem. So what it says is, an initial sample of zinc contains 215 grams. So probably I won't solve this, I'll just give you the hint here. Okay, so it basically contains 2.15 grams, so 215 grams, sorry. So at T naught, which is 0, N is equal to 215 grams. Okay, after 976 days, the sample reduces to 13.4375 grams. So I really don't know what is that 956 days. Okay, I'll just say, let's say Tn, which is equal to 976, and then N becomes, or N becomes 13.4375. So the question is, what is the half-life of zinc 61? So you have to find out what is the half-life of zinc now. Okay, so in order to do this, you have to do some kind of unitary method. Okay, so that means, let me write it down in this way probably. In 976 days, it reduces to 13.4375 in how many days this will reduce to half-life. So that means half of this, half of 215. Okay, so in how many days it will be 107.5 grams. Okay, so now you can actually use the unitary method and try to find out the answer. Okay, I think thorium is there, it has got a half-life of 80,000 years. Okay, and if an initial sample has a mass of 10 grams, how much will remain after 3,20,000 years? Okay, So it's very simple. 10 ग्राम रहेगा 80,000 में, हाफ हो जाएगा 5 ग्राम, then 160 में और हाफ हो जाएगा, and you can just divide it by 4 and then find out the final answer. So I think this is very simple. If you've done the first two correctly, you understand the first two, this is a cakewalk. Okay, no problem. Okay, so what I wanted to say was this. Okay, this is something which is important, and we are going to derive the relation for half-life, mean life, and everything. Okay, we're just going to practice it once, but then before that, I'm just going to tell you this because I think this is important. Whenever you plot a graph between the amount, okay, amount and time, you really don't get a curve which is straight line. You don't get a straight line. You actually get a curve. Okay, and you can find out the slope at any particular point. And if you can find out the slope, that is called the rate of decay. Okay, the rate of decay. That means at that particular point, that means at that particular time, how fast the system is decaying or the atoms are decaying. Okay, and that will be the slope. So that is why like slope plays a very important role, and whenever we look into it from mathematical point of view, just a value. Okay, just a ratio. But then if we want to interpret it, I think it's very important that what exactly we are finding out. So in this case, that slope will be nothing but the rate of decay. Okay, so dn by dt plays a very important role, and then dn by dt is directly proportional to the amount of which was present originally. I think this is something which we have done because we derive it n is equal to n naught e to the power minus lambda t and all those stuff. But then we start from here actually, the rate of decay. That means how fast the atoms are decaying, or what will be the amount remaining after a particular amount of time will depend on how much was there originally. Okay, so this is something which the concept is used, but here we say that the rate of decay dn dt is proportional to n, and this proportionality constant is nothing but minus k, which is nothing but given by the slope. Okay, so we can actually do some maths here and try to find it out. So if you consider this particular point, the slope will be different, but if you consider another point at a later location, the slope will be again different. So you see this slope is more and this slope is less. So that means if we go to longer and longer time period, the rate of decay slows down. This is the interpretation. Okay, this is the interpretation of the graph that we have from a physics point of view. The rate of decay slows down at a longer period of time. When we are actually at an earlier period of time, the rate is very fast. It decays very fast. Okay, and that is the meaning of exponential decay. Okay, so if we have less amount, then the rate of decay will reduce. If we have more time in the longer period, we have the rate of decay will slow down. So in one line we can say that the rate will decrease with time and the amount remaining. So after the half-life, let's say after 10 days, the half-life is 10 days. Let's say after 20 days, the amount remaining will be less. So that means the rate of decay will also become less. Okay, it will become lesser and lesser. So this is important because it goes from 10 grams to 5 grams. That means there is a 5 gram reduction. But it goes from 5 grams to 2.5 gram. That means there is only a reduction of 2.5 gram. So if you consider that maths, it is never going to go to zero. Okay. Well, theoretically, it is never going to go to zero. Might be it will be very difficult to realize if any amount is present, but theoretically, it's not going to go to zero. So then we can simply write it down. This is basically we can take the log. Okay, log of that. So ln of n by n naught is minus of kt. We are going to derive this relation. Okay, don't worry. But this is something which is seen from the graph itself. Okay, and if you write this, we know n is the number of nuclei remaining. N naught is the number of nuclei initially present. Usually we always denote the number of nuclei initially at n naught. K is the rate of decay, which can be actually given by the slope, and T is the amount of time. So this was actually experimentally observed. Okay, this was also experimentally observed that this rate depends upon what is the amount remaining at that particular instant of time and what instant of time you are considering. So after 10 years, the rate will be slower. After 5 years, the rate will be much faster than compared to 10 years.